Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been a few days since our last update, so let's jump into it here. So, obviously, right, we're breaching the all-time high here back in 2022. So, this is total three. This is all of the altcoins except for Ethereum and Bitcoin. And essentially, right, we're creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? So, recently we had this pretty big pump and we flagged out. We pulled all the way back and we broke above the flag. And now, when we zoom in, we're sort of right in the middle here of the retracement levels. So we had this A, B, C, right? And the price created some divergence down here. And then we had this pretty nice impulse back up to sort of the middle here. You have this all of this resistance right in here, right there, right in here. So you can see we're sort of kind of going sideways. We're building a little bit of a base right in here. And the idea is to break out of that. But before we do that, right, we can continue to consolidate. As long as we stay above this zone right in here, I'd say we're doing pretty dang good. So in reality, this could be an A, this could be a B, and we could still come down for a C. And that would be still a pretty decent drop. I mean, not too bad, but let's see from where we are here. That could still be another 10 to 12% dump. So just be aware of that, right? We could still dump another 10 to 12% for total three. So if that's the case, then let's take a look at some individual altcoins and see. But first, let's zoom in a little bit and see what we got here. So let's go to the 4 hour. There we go. And let's get rid of that. I guess we don't need that anymore. And let's just put a line here and there. Okay. So examining this correction here, it could be interpreted a few different ways. So this is the main situation right now, right? So obviously this is a flat. We got that out of the way. The question is this a wave one and a wave two, and we're about to go up massively in a wave three? It could be, right? Let's just run through the ideas real quick. So the first idea, obviously, let's start bearishly. The bearish idea would be that obviously we have a flat here, and this is also a flat for a B wave, right? And then now we're going down, or actually A, and then B, and then C, or actually it would be WXY, because if it was 3, or it could be 4 and 5 for an ABC, right? So we'll say ABC for now. So yeah, it could be 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down. I mean, that is sort of the main idea in a nutshell, right? But if this is already complete, right? Because we don't know what degree this correction will be in, right? Is it going to be in this degree, which is this degree here? Or is it going to be more complex, A, B, C, and have an additional set of waves, right? In my opinion, it would be like this, because if you already have 5 waves, right? If this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of like a diag, I don't like it a lot because I don't know if the third wave is the shortest wave. That cannot be, and it looks like it is. So that cannot be a third. So you would say 1, and this could be a flat here, A, B, C, a running flat. So 1 and 2, right? And this is another 1, A, B, C, and another 2. To me, that would be the best situation because that would give us a nice 1-2, 1-2. It would allow us to come down and back test. And you say come down. I thought we already came down. No, I mean come down even more, right? We could come down more. So there you go. That's kind of the idea in a nutshell. Now the other alternatives to that would be that this is an ABC, it's done, and this is a wave 1, and this is an A, a B, and a C for a wave 2, or maybe even wave 2 ended there, and we're going to continue higher. Another idea is that we're still in the B wave, right? So this is, you got 3 waves down, and this whole thing is 1, 2, and we're still going to go 3 waves up. And it's actually going to take the top. It's going to break the top. It's going to get everybody super bullish because they're going to look at it like an inverse head and shoulders. We broke out and then bam, we come back down in 3. Why would it do that? Because if this is a B wave, right? Remember, this is an alternative idea to the main idea. And there's really, and I wouldn't even call it a main idea. I would say they all have equal chance, right? Especially, one doesn't have the edge over the other except for, this one because it's in a bigger degree. But the whole thing is, when you're in the retracement levels, right, you have point A and point B, you're right in the middle here. It could be a little bit challenging, right? To know exactly. But the point is, where is it going overall? And that is up, right? So even if we have to come back down a little bit to correct, I think we're going to stay above that. We should stay above this high, definitely this low. So if we do a base, right, this could be creating a base. And a lot of times you do create a base relative to where you're at here, right? Because where we're at here is you had this downtrend, right? And this was your sort of distribution center right here. So we came all the way back up and now we're butting our heads right into that center, right? That distribution area. So we could play around in here for a little bit before breaking out, right, is what I'm saying. And how that could look, well, it could look something like what Bitcoin did back right here. You see this base right here. We got a little bit of a base, right? And something a little bit similar, right? So we had A, B, and C. Basically, it was a flat. So if that was A, B, and C, right? And then you kind of continue higher. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Again, let me just summarize real quick. So idea number 1, it's a simple A, B, and a C. And this is like going to be or W, X, and then Y. 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, go. Basically, that's it. Or the other idea is that we have an A. This whole thing is a B, and we're still going to go up. And then we get C. And then we go. Or it could be 3. It could be a WXY. So we have 3 down. This whole thing is 3 up. And then we get 3 down later. And then we go. And that's a beautiful base, right? You test the top, test the bottom, test the top, test the bottom, go. So the other idea is that this is finished. This is a wave 1. This is a wave 2. And we're going to just go now. So how do we know which one's it going to be? You don't. You have to follow the small time frames. You have to follow where it's going. So let's zoom in even further and see if we can get even a bigger edge, right? So let's go down to like the 30-minute chart. Now, if we look at the 30-minute chart, we're going to just ignore all of this and we're just going to focus on this. So if we focus on this, you can see it appears we have, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's an A. Is this coming up for a B and then later on a C and then a continuation? I don't know. I don't like it because I don't think that this wave is impulsive enough. I feel like this is a 1, this is a 2, but where's the 3 at? I don't have a 3 really. I mean, they're very weird waves. To me, this seems like an ABC, right? And then you have this very choppy wave. So I really feel like this is corrective. It looks kind of impulsive because it popped up a little bit. And it was designed that way because B waves, X waves are always traps. So what now? Well, what do you see? What do you think I'm going to say right now? Well, look at this. We have a rise, a crash, a retrace. What if this is reaccumulation and now we're going sideways before the big breakout? That could also be a roll, right? That could also be a roll. And you say an additional roll. No, but this is zoomed in. Remember, we're not talking about this right in here. We're talking about this correction right in here, right? So, that correction could turn into it. For example, this could be a rise, a crash, a retrace, and then you still get reaccumulation later on. Hopefully not, because that would be a grueling summer. Because essentially this is all one wave. So either this is going to be a B wave, a trap, or this is the real deal, right? Because the big question is, does this, you get 3 down, do you get 3 up and then 3 back down and then go later on the big picture? I don't think so. I mean, that's not for today's video. We still got plenty of time. So where are we on the fib level? We are right in the golden zone. This is a really good place to be. This is the sweet spot. This is where price likes to go to stay calm, cool, and collected, right? It likes to stay in its sort of comfort zone, right? In this little between the 50 and the 618, the golden zone. And this is the best place for the price to be for this type of correction. So let's see how this correction plays out. But yeah, this looks a little bit corrective right in here. So again, don't be alarmed if the price has to come back down. That's just the way it is, right? So how do we know? Again, we're gonna track the small time frames. Let's go real quick here. So if we go to the 15-minute chart, you could say, oh, that's an inverse head and shoulders, right? But remember we were just looking at an example where it comes up, it breaks out, and then it falls down, right? So, yeah, definitely have some work to do. Definitely have some consolidation to do. Because why? Well, it makes me believe that because when we look at Bitcoin seems like it needs a correction, right? And if Bitcoin is just beginning its correction, then that means we should at least have a more complex 3-wave move. So Bitcoin's looking a little bit, interesting because it's right above, it's kind of flirting with the all-time high. It's at a very dangerous place. Okay, very dangerous to be at this spot. I would have much rather seen the price get to here and then start the flag. But since it broke the top, then it really opens the door for bearishness. You could say, well, why? That's good. We want it to break the top. Yeah, but you want it to correct first. For example, if this comes up, right, and we start to flag out down here, then we reset our momentum before we took out the high. And then we take out the high, we have a lot of gas in the tank. You could say, well, so what? We can go up like this and flag out and have enough gas in the tank to go. Yeah, that's true, but it opens the door for risk. And what I mean by that is when you have the price breaking above a high, especially the all-time high, it could be for liquidity purposes, right? So the market makers, they'll push the price above the all-time high, and what that does is it opens the door for the liquidity. So this could be a liquidity grab. They take it up, they break the all-time high, they grab the liquidity, and then they take it down. So that's the big risk we have here. Okay, this could be a major risk. So that's why I didn't like the fact that it took the high. Now everybody, see, the retail guys, they love it. They go, "Oh, well, we broke a new all-time high. It's only a matter of time." Yeah, but when you break a high without resetting the momentum, right? I wouldn't care if we broke the high if we had flagged out, right? If we would have, moved up like this, right? And then start flagging here. But no, we came up and up and up and up and we took the high. What do you think's going to happen? You think it's just going to keep going? It's very unlikely. The reason why is because momentum. You need momentum. And how do you get momentum? You need consolidation. So the worst place to consolidate is above the all-time high because, for example, right here, look at this. Here's an example right here. Look at this. Look, you have the high, you pull back, you came all the way up, and look what you did. You took the high, and look what happened. You crashed because that was a liquidity grab. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen this time, but it could be a little dangerous. So, you even have over here, right? Anytime the price goes up, pulls back, and then breaks the high, that break should always be questioned. Is it a B wave, A, B, C? Is it the top of a wave, right? Is it a liquidity grab and then we're going to take it down? Versus coming up, correcting, moving back up, and before you break the high, you correct to slingshot your way out. Because if you pull back and you go up and you're running your momentum, you're wasting it, and then by the time you break out, you're already gassed out, and then you have to come back down. And a lot of people can sell right there, right? Because you can see right here, you break the high and people sell into that, right? So all I'm saying is I wish we didn't break the high because that opens the door for more risk to the downside because we tapped into that liquidity without resetting our momentum. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And I feel like not a lot of people explain that, right? A lot of people on YouTube, they give you the analysis, but they don't, breaking the high is a very good thing, but nobody will explain to you why it could be a bad thing, right? So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves, and we broke the high. So we have a red alert here, right? We have a red alert, meaning that Bitcoin could be, needing to chill out a little bit. Now, if Bitcoin has to chill out, how does that relate to the altcoins? Because if the altcoins are already kind of down and sad, how does that play a role? Well, it has to do with the Bitcoin dominance, because if Bitcoin kind of chills out for a while, this could either mean the altcoins take a bigger hit or the altcoins actually go up, right? Now, in some cases, the altcoins can just follow along with Bitcoin. But let's zoom in here a little bit on the smaller time frames. you kind of, and I'm not saying this wave is finished. It might not be finished, right? We could have already started our correction. For example, it's a weird thing, but this could actually be a three-wave move like this. That could be a B. So this could be a W, this could be an X, and then this whole thing can come down for a Y. And it could be a weird, elongated, running flat, and then go up. And that was your flag. That was your correction. Now, typically they don't play out like that. At this price level, usually you get more of a flag setting. So if we can kind of flag out like that, and it would still be kind of that move, that ABC type of move, right? Kind of like what XRP is doing right now, right? That same type of move, like this here, boom, 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 right? So let's go back to Bitcoin for a minute. Right? So yeah, let's see how that works. So again, like XRP would come down like this and then go up. So for Bitcoin, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A. This could be 3 up. That's your B, right? And then we come down for a C. And then from there we'll reevaluate. And it makes sense too, because that's when June starts. So we'll see how that plays out for the month of June. I don't know. I would imagine we get some type of correction in here, right? But let's not lose sight of where we're going overall, right? So let's take a look at ADA for a minute, and then we'll go to XRP. Or actually, you know what? Let's go to XRP first, because it looks interesting, right? Now, you can see XRP. Now, if we put Bitcoin up to the side of it, you can see what's happened here, right? You could see Bitcoin decided to continue. It's all correlated, and then they split off, and now here's your divergence right there. So there's your divergence. So what happens when Bitcoin starts to go down and correct? Does that mean XRP is going to go down harder? Or does that mean we start to converge, right? We're diverging now. You can see we're going up, Bitcoin's going up, XRP's going down. We're diverging. So if Bitcoin starts to pull back, maybe that's when XRP starts to pull up, and then we start converging. And then once we kind of get into this area, we kind of flatten out a little bit. So it's just an idea. It's just a perspective on how to look at it relative to where Bitcoin is, because that's the big jigsaw puzzle is trying to match what matters, which is the altcoins. Bitcoin doesn't matter at all, at least in my world, is because the only thing that matters is percentages. And you can't get any percentages with Bitcoin unless you have millions and millions of dollars, right? If you have that amount of money and you have the leverage, you can make a lot of money with Bitcoin. Like Michael Saylor, right? Because he has so much leverage and so much money, he can buy Bitcoin when he knows Bitcoin isn't going to be the biggest gainer. He might say that, but he knows it's not true. So for optics purposes, he has to stay with Bitcoin, right? But behind the scenes, we don't really know what he's doing. So when we look at Bitcoin, or when we look at XRP, right? Obviously, we have this move up. First of all, right, we're expecting this to break to the upside, right? XRP is on the verge of something historic. Let's not forget that, all right? Despite where Bitcoin is, XRP is on the verge of something historic, right? We have all of the factors met. Let's actually turn on the bull market support band. Yeah, there we go. So the bull market support band, we're holding above it, which is good. So obviously, right, you have this triangle, A, B, C, D, E, go. Same thing here, A, B, C, D, E, go, right? So, or you could say rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off, whatever floats your boat. But at the end of the day, this right here, this level right here is the most important level in all of crypto, right? Because, you know, people, oh, look at Ethereum. Ethereum went up so well. Yeah, but people automatically forgot about XRP, right? So what happens is that's why we call it the art of rotations. And we're still going to do another members video talking about the art of the rotation. Now, you can see XRP kind of like in this descending triangle formation, if you will. But, you know, real quick with Ethereum, Ethereum is on the move, right? Ethereum looks extremely impulsive. Now, when I plug that into XRP, right, you can see the difference here. If I put it on, let's put it on percentages. I think that would be the best. There we go. And you can see, you know, they both kind of had a consolidation. Ethereum went up a lot sooner, right? And then everybody was gravitating towards Ethereum, right? But then what happened was Ethereum came down and then XRP exploded, right? Basically in a vertical line, right? And now XRP is kind of flagging out. But as XRP is flagging out, Ethereum had a big crash, right? So now this move here is a reaction from that crash. It's not necessarily sustainable. So if we look at it a little bit closer, let's put it on regular so I can kind of move it a little bit here. So Ethereum, very bullish. You have that three-wave move, right? And you have this impulse. So this is definitely stronger than that, but it's warranted because we had this massive pump in XRP. So it's taking longer to correct, kind of like Theta, right? Theta had a monumental 2021, 2022 bull run. That's why it's taking so long to correct, because it went up multiples of percentages, right? Whereas XRP has been consolidating for the last 7 years, guys. It hasn't broke out in 7 years. So Ethereum has, right? So the bigger time frames trump the smaller time frames. And when you look at the bigger time frames, right, Ethereum went on a massive bull cycle in 2022. So it's going to take longer for it to correct. And it could be finished. It probably is finished. Look at this. Very, very bullish. You have 3 waves down, you have 3 waves up, and you have 3 waves back down, ladies and gentlemen. That is a WXY, right? So this is your first wave, and maybe that first wave isn't finished yet. But then eventually you're going to get a wave 2. And then you're going to get that wave 3. And that's when things get really exciting for Ethereum. You go, well, wait, what about XRP? Well, the reason why Ethereum is important, right? Because Ethereum and XRP are kind of in the battle for the lead or for the second place position. So which one's it going to be? Which one has the better opportunity? I still think XRP has a better opportunity because it has a bigger base, right? So just remember 2018, all right, and 2025. And just look at the chart like that. So you have this little blip on the screen here. Actually, let's be fair. Let's go to log scale. There we go. So this is Ethereum's base right here, all right? And this is XRP's base. Which one's bigger? XRP's base is way bigger, right? Ethereum's still going to be pretty nice move, but not as near as powerful as XRP. Even though XRP had a massive move to the upside, right? Which is going to give Ethereum a little bit of a lead here because Ethereum is still very undervalued relative to what's going on. But if we look at XRP versus ETH, it probably is not going to look so good on the smaller time frames. You can see, look at that. We are dumping here, right? But that's okay. Why is that okay? Because we're creating a fourth wave, all right? So you can see this is an extremely impulsive move here. So you have 1, 2, right? And then we bust up here for a third. And now it looks like this is going to be an A, a B, and a C here for a 4. And that could take till maybe sometime midsummer. So maybe Ethereum will be the better coin to hold over the next couple months. I don't know for sure because I wouldn't bet on it. I'm not rushing to swap my XRP for Ethereum, not even close. But, you know, let's put up XRP here so we can see it kind of side by side, because if this is a flat and this is gonna break out, I think that breakout should be a little bit more exciting than Ethereum's breakout, because Ethereum is accelerating very fast, which means it's gonna run into some type of resistance on the way into its retracement levels. So yeah, so you can see the retrace level there. You can see we're also in the golden zone for Ethereum, right? So we're basically in the same spot, but Ethereum had a bigger move up because it had a big crash. XRP never crashed, right? XRP corrected. So this is kind of like, let's see, where's XRP relative to? Yeah, so this is the retrace level. So this is basically Ethereum's base. Ethereum is building a major base, right? And the reason I don't really care about Ethereum, the reason I'm talking about it is because we need Ethereum to show up. We want Ethereum to succeed because that is the signal for a real alt season. Even with XRP, you got to have Ethereum in the mix or it's just not going to be the same because there's so many chains on Ethereum. There's so many ERC20 tokens. There's a lot of coins that depend on Ethereum, right? So Ethereum has a massive chunk of cryptos, right? So anyways, you know, when you crash like this and you quickly accelerate up, the problem with Ethereum is you didn't get away from the scene of the crime. So at some point, we're going to face a lot of resistance in here. So it would make sense to, let's zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, this looks like it's okay. So it looks like you have a 1, 2, 1, 2. You have a big 3. Now let's examine this wave. We'll go back to XRP in a second, but let me zoom out a little bit. Before I do that, right, we're back above the bull market support band, which is a good thing. You just had a cross, which is very good. So we want this to kind of circle back up like that. And then if this is going to be an ABC and we pop the high, then now we have 5 waves and we're back into the real retrace levels, like the 702, the 786, the big boys, right? So once we get up there, that's when you would kind of flag out. Now you could flag out from here, but it makes sense to pop up a little bit more and then to flag and then to go. So, and how would that look? Well, that would look like this. So it's very interesting. So what we have here, this could be 3 waves down, This could be 3 waves up, and then we get 3 waves back down into the bull market support band. Look at the cross, guys. We just had the cross. That's really good. Bullish crossover, meaning the bull market support band is flipping bullishly. We want the green above the red, which we just got right there. So another idea would be, you know, you got like 3 down, you got 3 up, and then this will be 3 down, and then go, right? That would be kind of cool too. I don't know if this is going to break out right now. It could be a running flat like that. And this could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it definitely needs more time. And it appears like it needs more development. You know, if we looked at it as a base, you know, you got kind of like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You kind of need to come down a little bit maybe. And if this was a, you know, because I'm wondering if this is like 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down. That would make the most sense to me. And then from there, right, because you're going sideways. That's good. Sideways is good. You're building a base on top of the bull market support band. This is extremely important for all other altcoins, for Ethereum to get going here, because you need a leader to emerge. And we don't care if it's XRP, Ethereum, it doesn't matter. We want someone to emerge as a leader, right? So there you go. So that's Ethereum. All right, now let's get to the good stuff. Let's go to XRP. We'll finish that, and then we'll circle to Theta, and we'll look at a couple other ones. Look at Theta, up 5%. Can't wait to talk about that one. But real quick, XRP, small time frames, right in the bull market support band. The big question is, I'm not going to go through everything, but the big question is, you know, is this some kind of weird ABC? You know, that's kind of the thing. Or is this going to be some kind of B wave like that? So you have 3 down, and this is like a fake out to the downside. You slightly break the low, but then you quickly come back up. It gets everybody super bullish, and then you have to come back down. And then that's when you go up, and that becomes 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. So W, X, Y, go. Create the base to go to outer space, right? So that's what I'm thinking from a technical perspective. Now from an idea perspective, you know, this looks like it could be some kind of B wave in here. The reason I say that is because it looks like you're having a bottom, a bottom, a bottom in here. You know, you're kind of cupping up, you're cupping up, you're cupping up. It seems like it wants to move back up here a little bit. Again, we're just gonna have to track the small time frames. It's kind of a tricky one, right? Maybe, you know, it could be that we're just trading sideways, right? Maybe we're just trending sideways for a little bit here, building that base, and yeah, as long as we stay above this zone in here, I'd say we're doing pretty good. And then as far as this is concerned, you know, as long as we build a base in here, I say we're doing pretty good. So as far as the structure goes, we just got to give it some more time. I would have really liked to see, you know, because the last update was a couple days, 3 days ago or 4 days ago. I don't remember, but I would have really liked to see this get up a little bit higher and then fall a little bit more quicker. And then that would have gave us a solid shape. But this shape is not the greatest looking shape. I'm not sure what to make of that. You know, it just looks, there's nothing calling my name at the moment yet. So what I'm going to wait for is I'm going to zoom in even more. And what I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to track this wave here, And let's see, here's our zone. So let's just track it from this perspective here. So let's see where it goes. Obviously, we're consolidating, going back up, coming back down, coming back up, coming back down, coming back up. I mean, you get the picture, right? We're basically flat, you know, day after day after day after day. So until that changes, we can't really say for sure what the next move is going to be. But if I had to imagine, you know, this it could be tricky too, because you also have, this could be like 1 2 3 4 5 A, and then you have 3 up, there's your B, and then this could be 1 2 3 4 5 down for your C, guys. And then what you have is 3 down, right? You have 3 up, so W, X, and then you have 3 back down, which is your Y. And I really like that idea too. And that would mean we would have to go down to like 218 or so. So that would be a pretty nasty hit. But, you know, because it looks a little bit orchestrated here. Because if you look at the support levels, I mean, look how many times we hit the support. Right? Support, 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 support. So eventually it's probably gonna break down, guys. It looks kind of bearish right now. Again, there's a chance that we can come up in a B, but then it's gonna be followed by more downside anyway. Why is this? Well, because we have confluence with Bitcoin, where Bitcoin already has 7 waves. It broke the high. So it seems like it would be the time to correct. Now you could say, well, what do you mean? We've been correct. It seems like we've been correcting forever. Well, it feels like that, hasn't it? And I agree. But, you know, this kind of looks like maybe a descending triangle here. You know, it's looking, you can see volatility slowing down, right? And a lot of times it just falls. Now, it could be that maybe we break out of here. Again, it's a tricky one. So let's take a look at some other charts here. Let's look at Theta. Maybe Theta might give us a better answer. Now Theta looks better. I like Theta's shape way better because it looks proper. So I have 3 waves down. I got 3 waves up. And the question is, though, is this 1 2 3 4 5? Is that an A, B, and C? Or is this 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down, which would relate to the bearish XRP price and Bitcoin flagging Ethereum as well? That one actually looks more proportional, this one here. So 3 down, 3 up, 3 back down. This looks more proportional to me. This is climbing the wall of worry, right? This is climbing a big wall. I mean, look at this monster crash. I mean, Theta looks bullish from this perspective because of how major this is, right? I mean, we had 3 waves up. We have 3 waves down. This 3-wave move down took over a year to complete, which is extremely significant. So, and we barely had this little bit of a blip here, right? So I'm expecting the prices of Theta to get back up into those levels at some point this year, for sure. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Now, how we get to this zone is even more challenging because the smaller time frames are always more challenging. But essentially, the idea is that either bearishly, this is an A, B, C, we have 3 waves up, and then you're going to get kind of like 3 waves back down and then go up in 5. So 3 up, 3 down, 5 up, and it becomes a bigger 3. Hopefully that doesn't happen. The other idea is even better, way better, is you have 1 2 3 4 5, you have a 1 and a 2. And this is another 1, A, B, C, another 2, right? Or it could be A, B, and then C, and then there's your 2 right there, and then we go up. So which one's it going to be? Again, I'm not sure. We'll have to track the small time frames. It looks a little bit sorry right in here. It looks like it's struggling a little bit. You got this big move down. You got a 3-way pullback. You know, if I were to flip this chart upside down to remove any biases, you know, to me it looks like you have this impulse and you have a 3-way pullback. So what comes next? Well, a move down, right? Which would be down. So now that doesn't mean that this 3-way pullback is finished. It might go up further. So we'll have to wait and see. But we did break the low. Let's see. Do we have any? I don't think we have any. I don't know why it does that. It's so weird. We don't have any bullish divergence, really. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So you can see right there, right there. Let's see, is it on the 6-hour chart? It is not on the 6-hour. But it is on the 4-hour. And it is on the 2-hour. So, got some divergence, which is good. So yeah, it's just all about waiting and seeing how this it doesn't, I'll tell you right now, it doesn't look finished to me. It looks to me like this has more of a story to tell. I don't think we're going to go up from here unless we break this high. If we break that high, you know, it could still be a B wave. That's the issue, right? 3 down, this could be 3 up, and then you get 3 back down. So that would be that would be one of my favorite ideas. I really would hope that would play out, because that would allow us to continue to correct without having to break the low. Right? It would keep us in that range. So but yeah, that's pretty much it for Theta. I mean, you can kind of see a little bit of a 3-wave shape here. It just seems like, I just don't know if this is a B wave. Right? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that would be my suspicion, right? So, all right, let's take a look around. Okay, so SHIB looks very interesting because of how low the volatility has gotten. You can see the volatility right here is very slowed down. So that's very interesting. Let's zoom in. So yeah, it's a tough one because it's not finished yet. So I don't have nothing to go on except for we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it just feels like this should be A, B, and C. It just feels like that's what's coming. And then we followed by another 5 and then a continuation. So that's kind of what I'm feeling. That's what it feels like. So let me just tell you the main idea and the alternative idea. So the main idea would be A, this would come up into a B, and then we would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for C. And it could be a flat. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it's a running flat. And then we basically line up there, and then that's when we go up. So we'll go up 1, we'll flag out, and then we'll explode. So that's kind of how I would imagine this playing out. The other alternative to that would be that this is A, this is B, and this is C, but it's not quite finished yet, right? Or you can say like 3 down, you could say 3 up, and then 1, 2, we still got a little bit more to go, and then 3, and then go. So 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, go. And it becomes a more proportional 3-wave shape. So those are kind of the 2 ideas I have right now. I mean, the other idea obviously would be kind of like maybe a descending triangle, kind of like XRP, where we just kind of go plunk to the downside. Hopefully that's not the case. So anyways, I think that should do it for everything here. ICP, exactly the same. Everything else is going to be the same. Filecoin, exactly the same. Algo, exactly the same. Meaning the same analysis, right? Look at AVAX. If you look at AVAX, it's going to be the same thing, right? So is this A, B, and then C? Or is this finished and this is a 1 and this is a 2, right? Is this I mean, or it could be also a triangle. I don't know if it would be, let's see, like you have 3A, B, C, D, and then E. It could be also a triangle. So whatever it is, it's got to consolidate. It's got to finish. It's got to mature, and then we'll get the edge on what it is, right? Because overall, what is the overall idea, guys? The overall idea is that this is going to go up. So how we get there, that's the hard part. That's the challenging part. You know, the goal is pretty easy, getting up here. And I believe that's exactly what's happening, and that's what's going to happen. The hard part is trying to figure out how it gets there, especially when you zoom in. But right here, it looks pretty decent here. You know, maybe get a little bit of a flag in here, and then move your way up. I mean, that's exactly what I think. Not just for AVAX, but for everything else. Everything. Matic here. Same kind of situation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, go. I mean, that's what it looks like. So I think that would be kind of the main situation here. Now, it could also be A, B, C, and we don't get that hit to the eye. The question is the B wave going to be more complex, or is the B wave a flat and then we're just going to go down from there? So 3 down, 3 up, 5 down. That would actually be better because it would save us more time. We wouldn't have to go back and hit the high. We would just rip the band-aid off and get it over with. So we'll see how it plays. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and if you can hit the like, subscribe, that always is pretty cool. And yeah, remember, this is not financial advice. It could be totally wrong, right? We're just trying to figure things out based on the wave structure, and so far, you know, it's moving along nicely. We just have to get through this little area, and then we can focus on the next level. So but yeah, hopefully everybody had a good 3-day weekend, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.